Think your words are not creating your reality. Your nervous system is. And right now, no matter how many affirmations you spoke this morning, no matter how precisely you visualized abundance, no matter how many gratitude lists you have written in journals gathering dust, your body is broadcasting a signal that cancels every single one of them. The universe is not ignoring you. It is responding with perfect precision to a frequency you cannot hear but everyone around you can feel. That tightness behind your sternum. That subtle constriction you have learned to live with so completely you stopped noticing it decades ago. That is not anxiety. That is not stress. That is your electromagnetic signature, a signal 60 times more powerful than anything your brain could generate, transmitting scarcity into a quantum field that has no choice but to reflect it back. This is not philosophy. This is electromagnetic science that was understood 4,000 years ago and systematically erased. There is a specific sensation I need you to notice right now. Not your thoughts, your chest. Is it open, expanded, breathing fully without obstruction? Or is there a protective wall there, a contraction around the heart that you have normalized as just how life feels? That contraction is your body's firmware broadcasting a specific frequency into the quantum field. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond your skin. HeartMath Institute researchers have measured this since the 1990s. This field changes shape based on your emotional state. Coherent emotions create coherent waveforms. Fear creates static. Your affirmations operate at the level of the desktop wallpaper. Your heart field operates at the level of the source code. The wallpaper does not determine what the computer does. The code does. For 2,500 years, you have been trained in what the Hermetic texts called the sensory inversion, the doctrine that your eyes show you reality. But your eyes show you nothing of the kind. Your eyes show you the reflection of what you have already created. You were taught to trust the mirror and distrust the source. You were taught that matter is solid and consciousness is ephemeral, when the physics is precisely reversed. Consciousness collapses probability into form. Matter is the printout. Consciousness is the printer. The ancient Egyptians had a phrase for the modern condition: combing the reflection. The insanity of standing before a mirror and trying to fix your hair by touching the glass. You have been combing the glass your entire life. Changing jobs to feel abundant. Changing relationships to feel loved. Changing locations to feel free. All of it touching the glass. And wondering why nothing changes. The reflection cannot be edited. Only the source can. In the Temple of Luxor, carved into the architecture itself, there is a specific geometric configuration that Thoth encoded into stone over 3,000 years ago. This configuration contains what the initiates called the three-tone sequence, a frequency protocol that bypasses the nervous system's scarcity programming entirely. Not through force. Not through willpower. Not through more affirmations spoken louder. Through a precise bridge that the body cannot reject because it does not recognize it as a threat. In 2008, HeartMath Institute researchers mapping the electromagnetic field of the human heart accidentally rediscovered fragments of this protocol when they observed how the heart field responds to specific emotional sequences. They did not know what they had found. They did not have the context. But the data confirmed what Egypt encoded in temple walls. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly how to execute this sequence. You will understand why everything you have been doing has been broadcasting static into a field that only responds to coherence. And you will have the specific steps to change your transmission frequency from the root level, not the display. But first, you need to understand why the mirror has been lying to you. And who taught it to lie. If you are still here, if something in your system recognized truth beneath these words before your mind could process them, then you are not here by algorithm. You are here by resonance. You have felt the disconnect. The gap between what you intend and what materializes. You have watched others manifest with apparent ease while your reality remains frozen despite identical techniques. You have sensed that your words are hitting some kind of invisible wall. That wall is real. It exists at the level of frequency, not vocabulary. And the fact that you found this specific transmission at this specific moment tells me something about your consciousness. You were designed to dismantle that wall. Not everyone is. Most people will scroll past this. Their nervous systems are not ready for the recalibration. Yours is. That is not flattery. That is diagnostics. Temple of Luxor. 1300 BCE. Midnight. Deep beneath the outer chambers where the uninitiated pray to statues and leave offerings they hope will purchase divine favor, there exists a corridor that most historians have never documented. It leads downward at a precise angle, 23.5 degrees, the same angle as Earth's axial tilt, into a chamber designed with proportions that amplify the human heart's electromagnetic field by a factor the modern world has no instrument to measure. The walls are covered in what appear to be decorative patterns. Hieroglyphics. Sacred imagery. But each symbol is a frequency notation. A technical manual for consciousness engineers. The initiates who enter this chamber are not there to worship. They are not there to pray. They are there to be recalibrated. The priest who oversees this process wears no ceremonial robes. He wears only a white linen cloth and a pendant containing a crystalline structure. He is what we would now call a frequency engineer. His role is not to intercede with gods. His role is to diagnose signal corruption in the human nervous system and execute protocols for repair. The teaching transmitted in this chamber was precise. Reality is not a window you look through. It is a mirror you project onto. What you call the external world is a holographic readout of your internal transmission. Every circumstance, every relationship, every financial situation, every health condition. A perfect reflection not of your words, not of your visualizations, but of your electromagnetic signature. The initiates learned that consciousness is not a byproduct of the brain. The brain is the local interface. The receiver. Consciousness is the operating system that runs the entire simulation. And the heart, that electromagnetic powerhouse in your chest, is the broadcast antenna. Its field is 60 times stronger than the brain's. Its signal reaches further. Its frequency determines what the mirror reflects back. And the nervous system, with all its stored traumas, its survival programming, its ancestral fear codes running loops that began before you were born, is the corrupted firmware that disrupts the coherent signal. The virus in the operating system. The static in the broadcast. Thoth Tehuti in the original tongue was not merely a god of writing. Ancient Hermetic practitioners taught that he was the architect of frequency science. The texts attributed to him did not contain prayers or mythological stories. They contained technical protocols. Precise instructions for diagnosing signal corruption, clearing interference patterns, and restoring coherent broadcast. What we now call Hermetic principles, the laws of vibration, correspondence, polarity, these were not philosophical musings. They were engineering specifications. As above, so below was not poetry. It was a statement about signal mirroring. What you transmit is what you receive. The mirror cannot lie. It can only reflect. The corruption was never in the mirror. The corruption was always in the source. But there was a deeper layer the outer priests never accessed. The inner teaching concerned what the texts called the corruption, the moment in human history when the nervous system's original programming was overwritten. According to these records, the human body was designed as a precise transmitter, capable of instantaneous materialization when signal coherence was maintained. The lag between intention and form was meant to be imperceptible. But something happened. Whether through deliberate interference by archonic forces, those parasitic intelligences that feed on scattered human frequencies, or through accumulated trauma across generations encoding itself into the species' nervous system, the original programming became corrupted. Fear codes were embedded at the root level. Scarcity algorithms were installed as default settings. The result, a species that consciously intends abundance while unconsciously broadcasting static. A species trapped in the mirror, having forgotten the mirror even exists. The Library of Alexandria was not randomly destroyed. History tells you the fire in 48 BCE was an accident. A conflagration that spread during Caesar's siege. Collateral damage of war. But the hermetic underground preserved a different account. Specific wings were targeted. The frequency science texts, the technical manuals that would have allowed mass recalibration of human consciousness, were systematically destroyed. Not burned by spreading flames. Carried out and burned separately. What remained after the destruction? The vague references to faith and belief, the surface vocabulary without the root mechanics. Religion replaced science. Hoping replaced engineering. The sensory inversion was installed as doctrine. Matter became primary. Consciousness became secondary. The mirror became reality. The source became imagination. And humanity was left combing the glass, generation after generation, having forgotten the glass was ever a reflection. But the knowledge did not die completely. It encoded itself in architecture, in sacred art, in oral traditions passed between initiated bloodlines across centuries. The hermetic underground preserved the fragments. And then, modern science began accidentally rediscovering what Egypt had mapped millennia ago. In 1985, Dr. Candice Pert, a neuropharmacologist at the National Institutes of Health, published research demonstrating that emotions are not abstract feelings. They are molecules. Neuropeptides that physically flood your bloodstream and reprogram your cellular receptors. When you feel fear, your cells bathe in cortisol and adrenaline. When you feel gratitude, your cells bathe in oxytocin and serotonin. Your body does not distinguish between a real event and an imagined one. It responds to the electromagnetic signal. The mirror does not check if the source is actually happening. It simply reflects what is transmitted. In 2008, HeartMath Institute published peer-reviewed research showing the heart's electromagnetic field is 60 times stronger than the brain's. This field extends several feet beyond the body. It changes shape based on emotional state. Coherent emotions, gratitude, appreciation, love, create smooth, sine wave patterns. Incoherent emotions, fear, anxiety, frustration, create scattered, static-filled transmissions. The mirror was being rediscovered through laboratory instruments. The three-tone sequence was waiting to be decoded. Let me translate this from temple to laboratory. What the priests called the mirror is what quantum physics calls the observer effect, the experimentally verified phenomenon that consciousness collapses probability into actuality. Before observation, particles exist in superposition. All possibilities simultaneously. The act of observation selects one possibility and makes it real. Consciousness is not passive witness. Consciousness is active architect. What they called signal corruption is what neuroscience calls implicit memory stored in the autonomic nervous system. Trauma patterns that run below conscious awareness. You do not remember them because they are not stored in narrative memory. They are stored in the body. In the nervous system's reflexive responses. In the chronic tension patterns you have normalized. In the chest tightness you stopped noticing years ago. What they called frequency broadcast is what biophysics calls bioelectromagnetic emission. The measurable electromagnetic fields your body generates and radiates into the environment. This is not metaphor. This is measurement. Here is the mechanism. Your nervous system is a radio transmitter. It broadcasts an electromagnetic field continuously awake, asleep, conscious, unconscious. This field is your actual vibration. Your conscious mind, your affirmations, your vision boards, your positive thinking, these operate at the level of the surface display. They are the icons on the screen. They are what you click. They are what you look at. But the actual signal being broadcast depends on the nervous system's root programming. The kernel code that runs beneath the user interface. The firmware installed during childhood. The survival patterns encoded through trauma. The ancestral fear loops pass through epigenetic transmission. When you say I am abundant while your chest is tight and your stomach is knotted, you are changing the desktop wallpaper while the operating system broadcasts a virus. The mirror of reality does not respond to wallpaper. It responds to the signal in the code. This is why affirmations fail for most people. Not because the technique is wrong. Because they are addressing the display while ignoring the source. Let me show you what this looks like at the microscopic level. When you experience genuine safety, not the thought of safety, but the felt sensation of safety flooding your cells, your heart's electromagnetic field becomes coherent. Its waveform organizes into smooth, rhythmic patterns. This coherent field creates what physicists call constructive interference. Waves that amplify each other. The quantum field can organize matter around a coherent signal because the signal gives consistent instructions. But when you experience fear, anxiety, or scarcity, even unconsciously, even subtly, even in the background of your awareness, your heart field becomes scattered. The waveform fragments into chaotic patterns. This creates destructive interference. Waves that cancel each other out. You are broadcasting static. And the quantum field cannot organize matter around static. It receives contradictory instructions. So reality stays static. The mirror reflects the noise. Now you understand why the control system, the matrix, the archonic grid, whatever name you give the force that profits from human suffering, invests so heavily in keeping you afraid. A population in chronic low-level anxiety is a population broadcasting scattered signals. A population focused on the mirror, on manipulating circumstances, on fighting reflections, on protesting the external, will never access their internal transmitter. Every fear-based news broadcast, every social media algorithm optimized for outrage, every economic system designed to create scarcity anxiety, these are not random features of civilization. They are signal jamming. They keep your heart field incoherent. They keep you combing the mirror while the source remains untouched. And this is why the three-tone sequence matters. Because you cannot, through willpower alone, force the nervous system to change frequencies. The system has a firewall. It has spent years, perhaps lifetimes, encoding protective patterns. It believes scarcity keeps you safe. It believes hypervigilance keeps you alive. When you try to jump from scarcity broadcast to abundance broadcast through sheer affirmation, the nervous system rejects the update. The body knows you are lying. The field stays scattered. The firewall holds. There must be a bridge. A protocol for frequency layering that the nervous system can accept without triggering its protection mechanisms. The Egyptians did not discover this through meditation alone. They mapped it geometrically. They encoded it in the temple walls. They tested it across thousands of initiates until the sequence was precise. And in the next section, I am going to give you the exact protocol. But first, stop. Right now. I need you to do something. Put your hand on your chest. Not symbolically. Not in your imagination. Actually place your palm flat against your sternum. Feel what is there. Feel the current state of your broadcast. Is there tightness? Constriction? A sense of holding? A wall? Or is there openness? Expansion? Room to breathe? This, not your thoughts about manifestation, not your understanding of the concepts, not your agreement with the philosophy, this is your actual frequency. This is what the mirror is reflecting right now. This is your real meditation. This is your real spiritual practice. Not what you think. Not what you say. What you transmit. Remember this sensation. You are about to learn how to change it. The three-tone sequence. The forbidden bridge. Here is what the initiates understood: you cannot jump frequencies. The nervous system has been conditioned to reject sudden shifts, it interprets them as threats and returns to baseline programming within minutes. This is why the high after a motivational video fades so quickly. This is why the peace after meditation dissolves the moment you check your phone. The system has a set point. It defends that set point aggressively. If you are broadcasting scarcity and you try to force abundance, the system blocks you. You feel the disconnection. The affirmation feels hollow. The visualization dissolves into mental static. You are rejected by your own firewall. The solution is frequency layering. Using neutral frequencies as bridge packets that the system will accept, creating a stepwise pathway from your current state to your target state. 3 tones. 3 stages. A protocol the body cannot refuse. Step 1. Locate your current broadcast. Place your awareness in your chest. Do not analyze. Do not judge. Do not try to change anything. Simply notice the sensation exactly as it exists. Tightness. Constriction. Heaviness. Numbness. Whatever is there. These are not problems to fix. They are data. They tell you your current transmission frequency. They tell you what the mirror is currently reflecting. You must know where you are before you can move. Most people skip this step because it is uncomfortable. They want to go straight to feeling good. They want to skip the diagnostic and jump to the. Perhaps the grip around the heart loosens almost imperceptibly. This is the first tone landing. The firewall accepted the packet. Step 3. Introduce the second bridge tone, openness. From this slightly shifted state, from the curiosity, add the second phrase, I am open to receiving something I cannot yet see. Again, not forcing. Not demanding. Not visualizing specific outcomes. Simply opening. Creating space. Openness is the second neutral frequency. It signals to the system, I am not in threat mode. I can allow unknown input. I can receive without defending. The nervous system's primary job is protection. Openness tells it protection is not currently required. You will feel the heart field begin to cohere. The chest expands. The shoulders may drop slightly. The jaw may unclench. There may be a deeper breath that happens without your choosing it. This is the second tone landing. Step 4. Introduce the target frequency. Only now, after the bridge is established, after the firewall has accepted 2 neutral packets, after the system has down-regulated from defensive mode, do you introduce your desired state. I feel the frequency of abundance flowing through my cells. I feel safety anchored in my body. I feel aligned with my highest timeline. The difference now is that your body can accept it. The pathway has been bridged. The root code can update because the update came through authorized channels. The mirror receives a coherent signal because the source is no longer fighting itself. When the sequence completes, you will feel a physical shift that cannot be faked. There is a moment, the priests called it the door opening, when the chest releases, the breath fills fully without effort, and a sense of space appears behind the sternum that was not there before. Some describe it as warmth radiating outward. Others as lightness, as if weight has been removed from the ribcage. Others as a quiet aliveness, a hum, a subtle vibration that was always there but could not be felt through the static. This is not imagination. This is your heart's electromagnetic field reorganizing from incoherent to coherent. If you do not feel this shift, the sequence has not completed. Return to step 1. Locate where the block remains. Introduce curiosity there specifically. The body will show you where the next layer of clearing is needed. For mistakes will sabotage this protocol. Mistake 1, rushing through the bridge tones to get to the good stuff. The bridges are not obstacles. They are the work. Each neutral frequency needs time to settle into the nervous system. Speed creates rejection. Speed tells the system you are trying to bypass rather than integrate. Mistake 2, using the sequence as mental visualization without somatic awareness. If you are imagining the process in your mind but not feeling the body, you are changing the desktop wallpaper again. You are operating at display level. The system knows. The firewall holds. Mistake 3, treating this as a once-and-done technique. The corruption patterns have been encoded for years. Decades. Perhaps lifetimes if you model consciousness as continuous across incarnations. They will resurface. The old broadcasts will attempt to reassert themselves. This is not failure. This is data showing you where the next layer of clearing is needed. The protocol is not a pill. It is a practice. Mistake 4, ignoring contradictory signals. If you speak "I feel abundance" and your stomach contracts, your body is telling you the bridge is not complete. It is telling you the firewall rejected the packet. Listen to it. Return to the neutral tones. Build the bridge more slowly. The body does not lie. The body is the broadcast. One final instruction, and it is not optional. This protocol gives you access to your source code. It allows you to transmit coherently into a field that will reorganize matter in response. But Thoth was explicit in the texts: coherent transmission from ego creates fragmentation elsewhere. If you use this to transmit greed, domination, or acquisition for its own sake, the field will comply. It has no morality. It simply reflects signal. But the cost will be coherence in other domains. Relationships will fragment. Health will destabilize. Inner peace will corrode. The system balances across all sectors. You cannot extract abundance from one area without paying the frequency price somewhere else. Use this to align with your highest timeline, not to accumulate. Use this to serve coherence, not to dominate the reflection. Frequency mastery without wisdom is a prison disguised as power. Imagine what changes. You wake up, and before any thought forms, before the morning anxiety has a chance to run its usual subroutine, you check your chest. You notice the contraction, the legacy code running its routine scan, looking for threats, defaulting to scarcity because that is what it has always done. But now, you do not identify with it. You do not believe it. You do not think "I am anxious," because you understand, this is not you. This is old firmware. This is corrupted code. And code can be rewritten. You apply the sequence. Curiosity. Openness. Target state. Within 2 minutes, sometimes faster once the neural pathways are established, your field is coherent. The chest opens. The breath drops. The broadcast shifts. You move through your day transmitting from source, not from corruption. And the mirror begins to change. Not because you forced it. Not because you manipulated circumstance. Not because you manifested through sheer willpower. Because the signal changed. Opportunities appear where there were none. Conversations align in ways that seem coincidental until you realize there are no coincidences, only frequency matching. Resources flow. Synchronicities stack. The lag between intention and manifestation compresses. Not magically. Mechanically. Frequency in. Reflection out. You are not a victim of circumstance, programmed by past and confined by probability. You are not a body hoping for better luck, waiting for external conditions to grant you permission to feel abundant. You are a frequency architect temporarily operating a nervous system that was corrupted by inadequate programming. Now you have access to the source code. Now you understand that combing the mirror was never going to work. Now you know where the actual editing happens. The question is no longer "why won't reality change?" The question is, what am I willing to transmit? This teaching is not resurfacing by accident. The Hermetic underground preserved it for this specific window. Humanity is approaching a collective frequency shift, a period where the old control systems, designed to maintain signal static across the population, are losing coherence. The archonic grid is destabilizing. The matrix is glitching. The mirror is becoming more responsive. The gap between transmission and materialization is shrinking. Thoughts are becoming things faster. Frequencies are printing form with less lag. What took years to manifest now takes months. What took months now takes weeks. Souls who can operate from source code, who can maintain coherent broadcast despite external chaos, despite the fear programming in the collective field, despite the static being pumped through every screen and speaker, these souls are being activated for what is coming. Not randomly. By resonance. You are not learning this information because it is interesting. You are learning it because it is necessary. The next decade will divide humanity. Not by politics. Not by ideology. Not by geography. By frequency. Those who master their broadcast, who understand the mirror mechanics and operate from source, will navigate the transition with increasing ease. Their realities will become more fluid, more responsive, more aligned with their highest timelines. They will appear lucky to those who still believe luck exists. Those still combing the glass, still fighting reflections, still believing reality is out there to be conquered through force and struggle, will experience escalating chaos. Their scattered signals will create increasingly scattered reflections. Their realities will become more turbulent, more resistant, more confusing. This is not punishment. This is physics. The mirror has no opinion. It simply reflects. The only variable is signal quality. The only question is, what are you transmitting? If this transmission has activated something in you, if your nervous system recognized truth beneath the words before your conscious mind could analyze them, then you are ready for deeper access. Thoth's sanctum is where the surface teaching ends and the initiatory path begins. This video is the outer chamber. The public transmission. The diagnostic that determines whether your frequency is compatible with the deeper work. The inner architecture, the advanced frequency protocols that cannot be shared on public platforms, the historical records that would trigger algorithmic suppression, the community of frequency architects mapping the transition together, this exists for those who are ready to move beyond consumption into embodiment. The link is below. Your presence there is not required. This is not a sales pitch. This is a signal. If the field is calling you, you will know. You will feel it in your chest, that same chest you placed your hand on earlier. There will be an expansion. An opening. A sense of yes that does not come from the mind. That is the diagnostic. The door opens when the signal coheres. I will see you in the sanctum.